This is Bryan Mills with AdvzrTek. Today's guest on Dialogue 2.0 is Mazy Dar of OpenFin. Hi, Mazy. How are you?
Hi, Bryan. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for joining us. You're in your office in Manhattan. Is that correct?
That's right.
Super. So those of you that don't know, Mazy is responsible for setting the overall direction and product strategy of this company. What OpenFin is they provide runtime technology for financial desktops. The company has a patent-pending software that enables financial desktop apps to be instantly deployable, interoperable, and cross-platform while meeting the strict security and compliance requirements of the financial institutions that are using it. Now, they were founded back in 2010. Prior to that, Mazy, in fact, wound up working with ICE, the Intercontinental Exchange, where he led ICE's launch of CDS central clearing for buy-side market participants. Before ICE, he also served as the Chief Strategy Officer of Creditex, which was backed by JPMorgan, Deutsche and TA Associates, which, by the way, if you do recall, they were acquired. ICE was acquired in 2008. Mazy, one question that my viewers always have and that I have, why did you start your company?
Yeah, great question. I joined Creditex in 2000, and Creditex is an electronic trading platform where we deployed desktop applications into all the major banks and as well as over 500 hedge funds.
Okay.
Now, through the course of that experience, we found a number of really big pain points associated with the deployment of the applications themselves to lock down desktops and the upgrade cycle of the software. It's something we got very good at Creditex, and following the ICE acquisition, my co-founder Chuck Dorr, who was Creditex's CTO, and I started thinking about how could we solve that problem holistically for other firms in the financial industry. That was really what gave us the idea to start OpenFin.
Okay. Now with OpenFin, another unique feature that you do have is you have the ability, everybody talks about apps, right? Apps this, apps that, web apps. But what you don't normally hear until I heard about you guys is you actually take apps and turn them into desktop applications. Whereas most people are trying to take a desktop and turn it into an app. Can you elaborate on that for me, please?
Sure. Well, if you think about whether it's mobile or the desktop, when people use the term app or application, often what they're referring to is the user experience, which is in contrast to a web or a browser user experience, right? So instead of having, clicking on links and moving from page to page, you have something that feels like a native application, again, whether that's mobile or the desktop. What's happened on mobile devices is user experience expectations have gone up dramatically, right? And so most everyone agrees that a native experience on mobile devices and tablets is better than a browser experience, right? Now, on the desktop, the story is different, and most users for most consumers for many categories of applications are quite happy to use their Gmail or their Facebook or other applications inside a web browser. However, in financial services, you have categories of applications that really need installed user experience, native user experience. And so whether that's request for quote applications that need to pop up, or it's market data, real-time market data applications that require push alerting, or if it's trade entry where you want to give the end user the ability to have keyboard control of an application, or do things like Excel integration. Any of those types of user experiences are the definition of what installed applications can do, and that's for financial users, it's actually very, very important, and that's a key problem that we're solving. So effectively, we're making it so that you can have a lightweight deployment, right, a thin client application that looks and feels and works like a native installed application.
Okay, so you're really creating that level of, let's say, comfortability in the user experience, and let's say for what it is. Everybody now thinks all these things have to work the same way, and if they don't work the same way, they either A, get frustrated, or B, don't even play with it anymore or utilize it, and they try to find something else. That's right. This is fantastic. Now, that leads me into my next question. How do you feel that your service, and you give me a scenario, but how do you feel that your service really helps, let's say, a trader, a stockbroker, a home office, a financial advisor, or even an insurance agent? Because your market is for working with this group and also doing it in a compliant format.
That's right. So we don't provide the end applications. We don't provide market data ourselves or content of any kind. Okay. But what our software does enable is end users to select best-of-breed applications, right? So the traditional model in financial services for years has been you use a terminal or a customer portal, and you kind of have to use everything that's inside that portal. And it's difficult to use other products because they don't integrate, they don't talk to one another. And so what our software does is it enables any third-party provider of applications or content to easily deliver the application to their end user. And from the end user's perspective, we enable the applications that are completely independent from one another to be integrated very easily so that they can talk to one another and share context and share information. So it's really about giving the power back to the users to select the tools that are best for them without being locked into a given portal.
So you're saying, this is the scenario. As a financial professional, as a trader, stockbroker for 20 some odd years, I can ultimately have a trading program. I can have a charting program. I can have another program discussing totally separate with news. And by clicking onto one, let's say entering a symbol, let's say I put in, for example, Bank America. I put in Bank America in my trade station per se. Then it'll show up in the other program that I use for, let's say, charting. And then it'll show up in another particular program that I use for my analysis of that particular issue.
And can show you relevant news. If you have a news program, can show you, social media analytics coming from a different program. So yeah, that's absolutely, it's really making the user experience simple for the end user, and then also enabling innovation from the providers of applications and content. Because if you think about the problem for the application providers is there's a very big barrier to entry to getting to financial end users, right? And so what that means is that the firms that tend to have applications on your desktop are firms that have been around for a very, very long time and have built distribution slowly over a very, very long period of time.
Right. So you have basically one person who controls the sandbox, not wanting to let anybody else play in it. But basically you're making it saying, you know what? All the kids can play in the same sandbox.
That's right. That's a great way to say it. And and the analogy is what's happened on mobile, right? I use lots of different apps today than I did a couple years ago, and many of them are from companies that no one had ever heard of a few years ago. And we think that same kind of model with the appropriate security and compliance around and controls around the environment can be possible on the financial desktop.
Okay. Was there any particular advancement that you've seen in all the years you've been in technology that had an impact on you, whether it be a software or particular hardware?
Yeah. So I think the iPhone and the App Store, as I was just alluding to, is probably the single biggest one. And it's really about a combination. If you think about what are apps, it's really a combination of ease of discovery, ease of installation, ease of use, right? Simplicity in terms of doing one thing and doing that one thing really well. And I think that those are all great principles for any kind of software development. And I think in particular, financial applications that have traditionally been very complex and not particularly great from a user experience perspective, could really benefit from applying those principles. And I think increasingly you're seeing that happen as the user experience expectations in the consumer space are starting to filter into financial technology.
Yeah, you think everybody's spoiled at this point. I mean, as a developer, everybody must be pulling their hair out because they're saying, well, listen, It doesn't work like this. Well, my iPad works like this, or my Nexus works like that. You guys really are ultimately providing a fantastic service. And looking at these tools available, like you're saying, an iPhone or some of the Google products or Android products, that's very unique.
That's right.
Your group, and this is obviously pretty new to me in terms of how you work and the solutions that you have for common problems that it's kind of like the elephant in the room that no one wants to talk about. You've put a big spotlight on the elephant, which I think is great. What is it that you see OpenFin doing and your industry moving towards over the next few years?
Right. Well, it's in terms of what OpenFin can do. It's really in providing a normalizing layer on financial desktops that if you think about financial desktops within banks, hedge funds, and other buy-side firms, what you have is a lot of fragmentation, right? So you have bespoke security policies, you have different operating systems, you have legacy web browsers, right? And so you can think of what OpenFin does is really analogous to what Android did on different devices on mobile, right? Normalizing an environment where now you can, the providers of applications can easily deploy their products, where they can, have those products be interoperable and cross-platform. So, as I said, just a little bit earlier, we think that can ultimately change how product development is done in the financial industry, and can really fuel innovation, across asset classes and product categories.
Okay. Well, that's good to know that, because really I'm looking at you as being the translator, making everything clear on all levels. And that is extremely needed in our industry. Now, is there any particular gadget, and I always ask this of all my guests, that you always have on you? That's like something you just cannot leave home without?
Well, nowadays it's my iPhone.
Okay.
I was late to convert from my BlackBerry that I used religiously to the iPhone. And the conversion was really eye-opening for me. I thought originally that the apps and the experience didn't matter as much to me as it turns out it does. And going back is something that I couldn't imagine doing. And I think that's a great metaphor for where I see financial applications going. That as they improve and the user experience improves, and people realize how much better the software can be, I think they'll have a hard time imagining going back.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And again, I know you're very busy. One thing I'd like to point out to all of our watchers, if you would like to take a deeper look, which I would recommend you do, you would need to go to www.open, and it's OPENF.in, to look at their services, what they offer, get a deeper history of who Mazy is and his group, his co-founders, his engineers. As far as I'm concerned, they're taking really wonderful mathematics and turning them into a beautiful picture. For all of your financial and technology reviews and apps that you'd like a real good sneak peek as well as preview, go to www.AdvzrTek.com. Mazy, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.